Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I'm going to be talking about the latest 7.3.2 PTR data that's been unveiled about Argus the Unmaker. Argus the Unmaker is the last boss in Antorus raid that's going to be released in possibly 7.35, and with 7.35 or at least at least with the last boss still there is 6 new trinkets. There's 6 new trinkets assigned basically to the melee, healers, range DPS, the agility DPS, strength DPS and tanks, and also a trinket that's equivalent of unstable Arcano Crystal version 2.0. So these 6 trinkets, okay, they're pretty neat. Let's just first see what they exactly do. So the base item level of the Aman'Thul's Wisdom, which is the new Arcano Crystal. Again, Aman'Thul's Wisdom is actually what Rest of Your Shoulder is called, but it's going to be like amazing stats. An equip effect, your spells and abilities have a chance to grant you 4000 speed, avoidance and leech. I mean, speed avoidance, whatever, but leech is actually really good for probably every healer out there, so that's actually pretty nice. When comparing to 940 Arcano Crystal, you can see that 940 Arcano Crystal gives you around 1142 of each stat. So this technically gives you less than Arcano Crystal, but it has an additional effect. We're not even going to talk about the grandeur effects. Then you have the tanking, this is actually the healing intellect trinket, Eonar's compassion, intellect, which is always nice. Your healing effects have a chance to grant an emerald blossoms nearby, which heals a random injured ally for 91,000 every 2 seconds, last 12 seconds. Depends on the proc, depends how often it procs, depends on the range. Depends as you proc on hot, so etc. Is looking pretty good, but we need to know more before we can actually say anything about this. Then you have Aggramar's Conviction, which is basically this the tanking trinket. It gives you strength, agility, and taking damage is a chance to increase your armor by 4,000 for 15 seconds. Really good. Armor is one of the best stats for a lot of the tanks out there. So any armor that specific tanks can pick up is always nice. Then we look at the range DPS trinket, Norgannon's Prowess. It gives you mastery. Your damaging spells have a chance to increase your intellect. These are some of the best procs that you can get as a range DPS. So there's not it's looking pretty strong. Then you have your strength DPS. Your damaging attacks have a chance to make your weapon glow hot with the fire of Khaz'goroth's forge, causing your auto attacks to do. We're not gonna go into numbers because they're gonna change. Of main hand weapon, additional fire damage for 12 seconds. Usually these kind of effects tend to be really strong, so I'm hoping this is, most likely is going to be very strong for strength DPS as well. And the last one, Golganneth's Vitality, which is agility DPS trinket. It gives you agility, of course. Your damaging abilities have the chance to create a ravaging storm at your target's location, inflicting nature damage to all enemies within 6 yards over 6 seconds. So this kind of seems like a bit of a cleave AoE trinket, and again you'll see based on the secondary ones is also very cleave AoE oriented. Again, could be very strong depending on the numbers gonna change. I think the range seems to be a bit small, but still this could be very strong regardless, because I'm pretty sure what Blizzard is trying to achieve here is making these trinkets to be beyond insanely powerful, or just being the trinkets that you should be using. I think they're trying to bring back trinkets that are actually really good. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that all of these trinkets have a secondary effect. Beyond the equip effect, they have a secondary effect, which when I'm powered by the Pantheon. So it's like a lot of people are still unsure about exactly what that means. A lot of people are saying maybe it's to do with maybe it's when you're fighting Argus the Unmaker, maybe there's a specific fight or specific fight mechanic that triggers those trinkets just for that fight. There's also a decent information available that shows that in order to proc these trinkets, it's going to be very similar to what Warlords of Draenor legendary rings were. Remember those? When one DPS used the ring and then they gained increased DPS, whatever. But gain the power from everyone else. The whole group scenario, one person uses a legendary for everyone, which was, I thought, was a disaster. So they're saying it, a lot of people are saying it, that but if every single player, not every single player, if there's 6 trinkets in your raid, so you have someone wearing Aman'Thul's Wisdom, 1 strength DPS wearing Khaz'goroth's Courage, 1 healer wearing this, 1 caster wearing this, 1 agility and tank having these trinkets. So you have 6 trinkets in a raid, and when you actually get the secondary proc, when you actually get this proc, your healing abilities have a chance to grant you 4,000. When each of those trinkets get the primary proc, which because all of the trinkets are proc based, once every single trinket of those 6 in your raid gets that proc at the same time, you will get Empowered by Pantheon, which is Empowered by Pantheon is an additional bonus to your trinket, to the current trinket that you equipped. Let's actually go through them really quickly. So for the Arcano Crystal one, when Empowered by Pantheon, your intellect is increased by 5,000. And now, I'm not sure if this is going to be intellect or agility or strength or whatever. By making this intellect, it does seem to be healer or range DPS trinket. But I'm still not sure about that. So if you go back to the range DPS trinket itself, when Empowered by Pantheon, oh, this is actually the healer, sorry, this is the actually healing one. When Empowered by Pantheon, your next 6 direct healing spells grant a target a shield that prevents 153,000 damage for 30 seconds. Now, I don't really like this exactly because it says your next 6 direct healing spells. As a restoration druid, you actually tend to not cast a lot of direct spells. I mean, your healing touch and regrowth are pretty, like, I mean, it's gonna depend on what they're going to count direct spell. If the HOTS are most likely not going to be counted as direct spell, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect rest of druids. But overall, this seems like a really strong trinket. It gives you, I mean, anything that grants shields usually is just amazing for healers. Anything that grants shields, and especially for 30 seconds. So that's for healers. This is for tanks. When Empowered by Pantheon, your maximum health is increased by 2.2 million for 15 seconds, and you are healed to full health. So it's basically like a lay of hands that happens when this trinket procs. So this is the actual range DPS one. So when Empowered by Pantheon, you gain 6 charges of Norgannon's command for 15 seconds. Your damaging spells expand the charge to inflict an additional 120 damage to the target from a random school of magic. So again, it's just basically something that you don't have to worry about anything, and it's just gonna empower your next 6 spells, or at least it's going to, yeah, it's going to empower the next 6 spells. Still not sure how good or how bad this is, need to see with the numbers, but I mean, this is an additional equip effect on a trinket. So I mean, anything like this is going to make it insanely strong. For the melee DPS, when Empowered by Pantheon, critical strike, haste, mastery, your versatility is increased by 5,000 for 15 seconds. Always empowers your highest stat. Again, these kind of proc trinkets for these kind of procs for trinkets are usually really are ranked really high for melee DPS. So this is looking really strong. Golganneth's Vitality, when Empowered by Pantheon, your auto attacks cause an explosion of lightning dealing main hand damage. Nature damage to all enemies within 8 yards. So this is what the agility trinket was doing. I'm saying that the primary effect was also to do with AoE, and the secondary effect is also to do with kind of cleave AoE. So this is most likely going to be really good for cleave or AoE fights. I'm not sure how this is going to sim on single target, but still looking really strong. So the fun part, or the messed up part, like I said, you need to have 6 of these trinkets, or at least this is what the preliminary information is. A lot of people are saying this might be changed, this might not be guaranteed, but I can almost see that there's going to be a scenario where they're going to make a raid-wide trinket ring proc that they did in WoD. That they're going to make something happen with the group, because like you can see here, you can see they found Mark of the Pantheon, which says it's triggered by all 6 of the trinkets. So there's something Blizzard is definitely leaning towards having a group activation ability happening here. At the moment, like I said, you need to have 6 of these trinkets. These trinkets need to proc at the same time. Like I said, the primary effect, which is the equip effect, that needs to proc at the same time. At least this is what information is saying. That needs to proc at the same time. Once that procs, you unlock your secondary equip effect, or the Empowered by Pantheon. You get the Empowered by Pantheon effect. So this seems very RNG based. Maybe this is a placeholder. Like I said, don't take this information because it's probably going to... Don't take this information super factual. It's not facts right now. There's a lot of information being found out. One thing is clear is that, like I said, Blizzard is going to make something different, something more fun with the trinkets in the next patch. Antorus, they're going to make trinkets more fun. Right now, trinkets are very passive. There's nothing really special about them. So I'm pretty sure they're going back to what in WoD they used to have the rings, and they're making those rings to be less stupid, because those rings were actually more annoying than anything else. They ruined logs. People used to pop them by accident and things like that. But these trinkets seem to be maybe a bit less. Maybe they're going to be a bit more fun. But let's see how this is gonna happen. Let's see. I'm going to keep an eye out and see how the latest how these trinkets are going to change. Are there going to be an additional information released about how they're going to be procking? Because right now there is only very preliminary information available, but it's looking very interesting. It's looking very cool. I mean, it's a lot more interesting than what Tumasager's trinkets were actually promising, or what they're actually giving to all the players in the game, because there was nothing really fun about them, or at least from a healer perspective, there was nothing really fun about healing trinkets. Maybe Grand Deceiver's design, but that's it. But let's see how this turns out. I know for a fact I love to get the Unstable Arcano Crystal version 2.0. This is looking really strong. And I'm going to really try and find out how to actually activate when I'm powered by Pantheon. Let me know how you feel about these activation or group activation items. Personally, I hated WoD rings. I hated the whole concept of it. I thought that it was really bad design. I mean, something that could be ruined by one player, and but required everyone else to have. Like, I mean, first of all, in poke scenarios, that was just terrible. These trinkets right now are looking a little bit better, but I feel there could be better design, or there could be better design path implemented. But let me know how you feel about these trinkets. Let me know how you feel about this whole concept. Let me know how you feel about Argus the Unmaker itself. I'm actually quite happy they're making these crazy trinkets. I'm hoping that they're going to make it a little bit better. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this little video, and I'll see you in my next little guide.